Today, we're going to talk about what it's like to be an amputee, what it's like to lose a part of your limb, and the process of getting to the place where you can walk again. Let's get into it. I cracked my head, got a brain bleed out of it. Okay, fine. Should have been wearing a helmet. You don't even have to tell me that. I know that. Whatever. So let's go into a part of that. Here's the weird thing. I was been riding motorcycles over 30 years and never really ever wore a helmet. It just wasn't a practice of mine. Of course, the people that in my life that love me gave me a bunch of grief about wearing a helmet. And just never did. At the beginning of 2023, I did something really, really out of character for myself. I ordered myself a helmet, and I just figured it's time. I don't know what came over me. Something came over me. I can't figure it out. But I ordered the helmet, and I wore it every time I rode in 2023. I wore it every time. I rode every day. And on August 21st, of 2023, I'm pulling the bike out, getting things ready. I look down and I see the helmet that I have been wearing every time, laying there. And I made a decision. I thought, short ride. Like, why would I not put that helmet on? I was wearing it every day. I felt like I needed to wear it. It was a part of me. I was so used to the helmet, it wasn't like it was uncomfortable. I just, whatever reason, chose that day to not wear it. And then I was struck by a car and thrown off the bike, hit my head, and got a brain bleed out of it. It's bizarre. I don't even think I can begin to explain why that happened, but it did. It was a very strange thing. And is there something supernatural involved? And if so, why was I told supernaturally in the beginning of 2023 to start wearing a helmet? Why was I given that? To only leave the helmet on the floor on the most important day of helmets. The day I'm going to crash. It's so crazy. So anyway, I crash. And when the car hit me, it did something to the bones and all that too. It crushed them and broke them and all that stuff. But the biggest part of what happened, I probably could have went through like a reconstruction surgery for bones and stuff like that. But the part that was the most devastating is that I went through a degloving. And that is where the sole of the foot gets pulled away from the rest of the foot. Yeah, gross. So that's what happened to me. The sole of the foot got pulled away, and apparently, according to my surgeon, you cannot repair a degloving situation because blood vessels and everything don't line exactly back up. So it can't be sewn back on, or it won't heal. If they did sew it back on, it wouldn't heal. So there were just no options for me. I had to just have the foot amputated. It was inevitable. So that part didn't even really stress me out. When I woke up in the hospital and I'm sitting there and I'm like, what's going on? And they explained it to me. My family says, you were in a motorcycle wreck. And I'm like, okay, how's my bike? Like any good biker would say. And they were like, well, you got bigger problems. Okay, what's the bigger problems? Well, you had your foot amputated. And I was like, whew, what a relief. For me, huge relief. Because instantly, I just saw this day happening. I saw the day that I would be walking again. And I was pretty encouraged by that. I'm like, man, I still have a pretty face. I can live without a foot. Of all the things that a biker goes through when they get on that motorcycle and decide to take a ride, all the things that your mind goes through of like, what can happen? Losing your foot is not the worst thing that you think of. And so instantly I just saw this as like, this is just another thing to learn. It's another thing to get through. I can walk. I can do everything that I always did before. I do it a little differently, but I'm definitely not bummed out about it. I'm like, sweet, I'm alive. So the process of getting your prosthesis is that when they cut your foot off, mine was cut off right about this point. When they cut that off, they sew it back up. And that suture line has to heal. It has to heal to the point of being a scar all the way. And mine wasn't healing. Well, I mean, it was, but it wasn't healing fast enough. For my taste anyway. And I had this whole line on the bottom here that was mostly healed and scarred, but there were like a couple like dots, a couple points along that line that just wouldn't close, like little holes, just wouldn't close up. And I had to go to like a wound care specialist, and they were packing it and giving me all this stuff to put on it and giving me my daily regimen of things to do. And eventually, but it took till like February of 24 before that thing was completely healed up, and they fitted me for a socket. And this is a socket. This is my first one, actually. And so your leg, once you start the process of having no foot to work the calf muscle, when you have a foot to work the calf muscle, your calf stays big. When you don't have a foot to work it, it just goes away. I literally just feel like I don't even have a calf. So through that process, atrophy, everything shrinks up. So my first socket is this big, and you can see that it almost doesn't look like my leg ever was that big, but it was. And so over the course of a year, you get your liner, and you put on, as your leg continues to, you're just floppy. As your leg continues to shrink, you start adding layers to fill up that spot. Because where the weight of all of this, of your body is being held, is in here, not on the bottom. That you don't bottom out. You're held off of the bottom of that socket by, good bit. All the weight's this pressure right here. And so you wedge it in there, and you can see on this socket, my leg kept getting smaller and smaller, and they started putting pads inside there to fill up that cavity for me. And they say give it about a year, before it settles down to a size that's going to stay relatively consistent. But in the meantime, I'm just adding these what's called limb socks. And at one time, by the time I got out of that socket and got into a new one, I was wearing like 7 of these limb socks and 2 liners. I was loading up every time just to wedge it in there so I could walk normal. So they finally made me a new one just a few months ago. This is my new one, and it's a lot smaller. But here's the thing. What I did was I started a keto diet about the same time I got fitted for this. I'm not the smartest guy. So this now fits me pretty loosely. It doesn't really fit in there that good because I'm still losing weight. I'm down like 40 pounds or something like that. And this keeps getting smaller. So here I am on my second socket. And now I'm back to putting 2 liners on and wearing 2 socks on top of it because I keep losing weight. So they basically told me, keep your weight loss going. That's fine. Just layer up like I'm doing so I can wear this. And then when I get to my goal weight and I'm pretty settled at that place, they're going to wrap it again and make me another socket that's going to be more appropriate for the size leg I have now. So hopefully this is helping you. If you are an amputee, or if you know an amputee, the process of when you first get your socket, of putting your nub down in there, and all of that pressure being put on the outside of your leg, it's pressing on nerves and muscles and tissue and all that, things that have not ever had that kind of pressure before. And your nub has to get used to that. And the getting used to that part, oh my gosh, it's painful. It's so painful. When you take a step, you're just wincing. And that whole process for me, I think lasted 3 or 4 months, where I was just like, is this ever going to get any better? I was still walking 14 hours a day, but I was taking breaks. I would walk short distances, and I'd have to sit down a little bit and give it a rest. And now, just so you know, it does get better. It gets so much better. Now I'm not doing that. Now I'm at the place where I'm on the leg 14 hours, 16 hours, and I sit down like anybody does, but I'm not sitting down because I have to. And it gets uncomfortable at certain points. It gets a little weird sometimes because it does shrink and swell throughout the day, but it's not like it was at the beginning. So if you are at the beginning phases, hang in there, keep walking. It's gonna get better, and you'll eventually get to the point where you're just living your life and you don't even think much about it, because I don't. So hope this is helpful. I'm going to keep putting out more and more content related to what it's like to be an amputee. If you have any questions, drop those in there right now. Drop your comments in there. Smash the like button for me. It sure helps me. And I'll see you on the next story.